Hello folks. Okay, well this is going to be a video on junk. Yes, it's going to be a video on nothing but junk. So I'm going to show a little bit how I make my sci-fi walls. It's more of a show and tell video, I'm just going to start very basically and then show the different things I do. So here we have a pile of old bottles. Julie and I both have health issues, and so we take, allergy stuff and everything else, and so these bottles tend to end up in the garbage, and I decided that I would recycle these. I'm not by any means telling people to take stuff, all right? There's my disclaimer. But anyway, and then I found this was an old piece of old air mattress that was not working anymore, and so I took these pieces and I'm going to be doing something with that. And old shaver, take that off. That's an excellent piece. I've been using these kinds of things to make cranes and all kinds of detail on my junk models. Here's an example of one of the sci-fi walls, and I use a handful of straws, craft sticks, the thin ones, craft sticks, the thick ones, clothespins, and yes, clothespins. I love using clothespins. I love this shape. I make a bunch of different things out of these clothespins. I open them up and I save the wire material as well, because I will be using this material, this wire, in some of my models. You guys are going to see what I use these for in the future. So these, I don't throw these away, I save these. And then of course I have some old sprues for adding detail. Old juice bottle, I cut out, used most of the detail on my other walls. This is the fourth wall I'm making, and so this is a beautiful piece. I'm going to be cutting this out and it's going to go on the wall. I usually drill holes and stick piping through there, stick straws to resemble piping coming out and everything. And here's an example of one use of the clothespins. I use the clothespins to decorate my fantasy towers and walls in my tinfoil terrain, right? So this is a castle piece, and I did that with a lot of different materials. There's a video in my channel for this kind of stuff, but I use the clothespins a lot in my fantasy. It works really well. So now I'm using it for my sci-fi terrain. And let me see, as far as tools are concerned, I use my clippers. This is my primary tool. And I use some box cutters, my scissors, my hot glue gun as my primary glue, but I also use tacky glue and crazy glue for certain things. So, it all goes into use when doing the wall. But hot glue is by far my most common glue. And then right now I just cut the door section for the wall. And what I'm going to do is, this is going to be an open doorway. I'm not going to do the sliding door in this one. I have two walls already with sliding doors, so I want to have one with like an open doorway. Maybe the door got locked open, or something like that. The mechanism failed. And thin card. I use this thin cardboard as well. Okay, and I forgot a couple of other pieces of junk. This is an old comb, and I have quite a few of these. These are from the dollar store, and I use these in a variety of ways. When I make vegetation, I use it to kind of splay out my rope so that I can make grasses, right? So I use a comb for that. But I have a lot of these, and so now what I started doing is cutting these up, and I make air vents out of these. And this is the grating, like when I make vehicles and stuff, I use this on the back of tanks and whatever to simulate like that, the air vents. And forks, same thing. I make them into flight stands. I also make the forks into kind of, like an air vent. And I'll show how I do that. The only thing is I have to keep this rounded part, because if not, the fork breaks. So I am going to do some kind of air vent with this. And then my spoons, these are just shapes. Usually I drill a hole in these and have piping come out. Okay, so first things first, I want to add a vent. So I use my cutters, chopped up the comb, and then I took the cutters and chopped off a little bit of the side of the comb here, and then took my sander and kind of sanded it a little bit. Okay, and now I kind of want this above the door. It could go anywhere. But the first thing that I have to do is I have to make sort of a frame for it. Otherwise, it doesn't look as good. So I'm kind of cutting up some sticks, and these will frame the air vents, except for the top here. I can leave that the way it is, and that will give it a nice look. You know, once everything is painted, it'll look like a vent. Here, I'm playing around with the spoons and the fork. This can also be some kind of giant air vent or something. This is going to be like the wall to an engine room. And that's why I have all these bottles. I'm going to have pieces everywhere simulating like, you know, I don't know, fuel containers or who knows, whatever. It's sci-fi. So it's going to be some kind of engine room detail, you know, and that's why I'm using this stuff. Okay, so there is my first vent with the comb in place, okay? And what I'll do is I'll add little rivets with glue, and then let them dry, and then they'll look like little rivets all around. And I'm going to have some piping going through here nearby, okay? So let's keep going. Okay, and I skipped a couple of steps. So when I use my spoons or whatever, I use everything that I can from the forks and spoons. I don't throw anything away. I take the fork in this case, and it's going to be the connector for all this piping that's going to come out, and then the spoon is underneath, so that is a little bit covered, but that's okay. And then I'm going to keep this one open so you see that nice smooth you know, shape. And then the piece that connects the fork, I use it to connect both these two pieces. All right, so yes, I go a little crazy. Here is the rest of those spoons and forks. They frame the door, and then I use another, because this wall is going to have like a corner piece, and I use the rest of one of the spoons as sort of the frame for that. Now, we're going to continue going because I got to add my craft stick skeleton. This is only going to have, since the door is going to be open, it's only going to have one cardboard piece, and then I got to decorate the back as well. So let's keep going. Okay, and I skipped a few steps, and okay, remember the cap to the air mattress? Well, there it goes. It formed a very nice sort of a plug for a tube. I drilled a hole into the cap to fit the tube, and I haven't glued this on yet, but you can kind of see it there. And then this bottom part and this top part formed supports for more tubes. Here I used the bit of a fork to kind of connect it to the wall. A little bit of a craft stick here to make some support for the two pipes. And notice how I use my straws as elbows. So like here's one straw, cut the other straw, and kind of use it as an elbow to kind of work my pipe around. It's artificial plumbing. And then I try to cap all of my straws. Here is a bit of sprue, and I use the knobby bits because I'll paint some like meters there, right? Like a gauge or something. And it just seals up the piping. And then here, notice here, this was also from the air mattress. It fit these bottles perfectly. So these bottles are in now, and they're glued because this wall has a corner piece attached to it. And of course, I'm going to be drilling holes in here. I kind of forgot, but I'm going to drill some holes in here. That's fine. And you'll see some piping coming out of these bits. All right. So this is one side of the wall. There's not going to be any opening door on this one. But if I were making a sliding door, on the other side, I would make my track mechanism, and then I'd cap the wall with another cardboard piece, you know, so basically the wall will be two halves, and that's how I make my sliding door. But I already have a couple of sliding doors, so I'm going to make this an open doorway, and we will continue with the engine room. Okay, so the next step, and here is some of the piping that I use, some of the artificial plumbing, and this has no rhyme or reason to it, it's just random. Here is a clothespin that attaches these two pipes, and clothespins are excellent because they have those grooves. You can fit the straw right in there. Notice I use my sprue bit as a joint. And so this has several pieces of sprue. I can join several pipes. The pipes are a lot stronger that way when I join them this way, and this pipe is going to come out the other side of the wall. Notice here for whatever generator or fuel tanks, whatever this is. I have no idea what it is. Notice how I join all the pipes. I drill some holes in there, get a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to kind of round that off a little bit. A bit of very shoddy soldering going on there. But anyway, I join all my pipes. Here is the piece for the old shaver. I just glued it there, and it forms a very nice kind of frame for that. And I have frames, clothespin frames down there. I'll be adding more pipes. And basically here on the other side, notice how I put the straw right into the hole there, and that's going to be going snaking around as well. So basically you'll have this wall with all this like piping and stuff. I may actually cut this piece a little bit. I don't know. I don't mind if it sticks out, but I do want to have a clear way here so that, you know, Julie and I can kind of move figures through. Okay, so not finished yet. This is still far from finished. A lot of work still. I also added some of these sticks to kind of strengthen the cardboard, but also to give it weight. I want this to have a lot of nice weight, and we are going to be adding magnets and everything else so that it could join with the other walls. All right, moving on. Okay, now I'm beginning to really jumble things up. Here's some plastic tube, and then I add some clothespin to kind of break up the cylindrical shape. I do the same thing here for whatever this is, and then I'm going to drill holes to have piping come out and kind of snake through here. I add some craft sticks to cover the top and kind of reinforce the cardboard. This piece is getting nice and heavy, so that's really good. And then I just cover up some ugly spots with clothespins, but this is really nice and tight. And then I'm probably going to snake some piping right through here, right? And that'll kind of, that'll be better than just looking at, you know, corrugated cardboard or whatever. And it really does give the piece a lot of complexity. So this is going to be some kind of engine room or some kind of, even a refinery area, right? Where you have whatever chemicals they're processing in these containers. So, moving on then, and we have our nice little air vent there, and then I'm going to be working on the other side. I already put the bottom of the plastic juice bottle. It was a plastic apple juice bottle, so good excuse to drink apple juice, stay healthy, and well, cut it up, and now I have this nice looking texture there on this side of the wall, and of course we're going to have pipes and all kinds of stuff coming out of there. So there it is. Moving on. So I'm starting to work on the other side of the wall, and you know, I want to have some of these kind of tanks or whatever they are, right? These containers on the other side as well. So whenever I join my bottles, I drill a hole, put a dowel in there, and then drill a hole in the other side in the center as much as possible, and then I can join these, and that'll make a nice strong join. And of course I'm going to cement them to the cardboard here and start working all the pipes. Okay, so now we're starting to connect my piping, and this is the other side of the piece. I have this Citadel paint pot. These I have a lot of these, and I use these as painting handles. A lot of people do that. So what I did here is just took a couple of my sprue bits, these old sprues, cut a couple of them up, and then made like a junction here. I drilled a hole into the paint pot, stuck that in there, and then I stick my straw to simulate my piping. And I'm going to be gluing this on one end, and of course the piping is gonna snake through here. I may connect it to this one actually. So, and that's gonna be, I am making a little base. I make a little base for these out of the larger craft sticks, and that paint pot's gonna be glued to that base as well. So it'll be nice and strong. And then here, as you can see, I'm starting to connect my piping using my little sprue bits. Okay, so now this is nice and strong, and there's a hole in there, so the straw goes right in, and that's how I do that. Okay, so you can see it's starting to come along, and once I'm finished with this, you'll see the painted version, and there it is. There's all that complexity, you know, all the containers and what have you. So it'll look like an engine room or a room in a refinery. And next, I'm gonna add some ladders, probably 1 or 2 ladders, one on either side, and that just to give the illusion that, of course, you know, maintenance crew can climb up the ladder and kind of service whatever. I may put a couple of hydraulic valves. I do that with buttons. You'll see how I do that, and I use my sprue bits, and I make like little hydraulic valves or whatever, and the ladder will be a nice touch just to kind of give the illusion that, you know, it can be maintained. We can also put objective markers up on top here, whatever. So this is not the ladder I'm going to use. This is one of my ladders for my castles and stuff. I'm going to make like a metallic ladder that'll be glued onto the piece. Okay, and this is coming along. It's an ugly piece, and I love it. You know, it has here I did some connections on to the Citadel bottle there. I drilled a hole there, stuck my straw in, added this little sprue thing here. Here is the valve or whatever that is, connecting my other straw. There's a straw going through here. And all of this hot glue stuff, I can make it look like cruddy grease or something later on, so I don't bother. I just take away the little spider webbing, but I leave some of that stuff and kind of use it in my weathering. And as you can see, this thing has a lot of piping. I went to town with the piping, and you can still kind of move your figures or whatever underneath there, so that's cool. If I wanted to, I could add some grating up here, you know, but technically this is the roof, so I'm not going to add anything. It's just going to look nice and ugly like that. And then on this side, I'm just about finishing. I'm adding these as supports, and I'm going to add some glue to make rivets, right? And then you can see piping here. I kind of cap it here. Here's that piece, that square piece. I'm going to leave this open because it has a nice, like, you can't really see it here in the light, but it has a nice, almost turbine feel to it. And so I'm going to leave that, do a little dry brushing on it later. And then, of course, some connection pipes here. And I started adding the base to the piece. And like I said, this is an open doorway, so I don't have to worry about sliding doors. This is almost finished. I'm going to be decorating this a little bit, this spoon. And so that's some kind of, you know, maybe a container or something that's in the wall itself, right? This is going to be some kind of engine room, or you know, the internal workings of a refinery, factory, whatever you want. You know, for 40K, this will be a cool kind of manufactorium wall, right? I'm not going to show you the other walls that I have. That's going to be shown on my chat show with Julie, but it's time to finish this up and get this painted, and I'll show the kind of base coat that I add. Okay, and the last connector bit that I do, I use these little wooden things. They're like little wooden beads for making necklaces and stuff, and I like using these for little like chambers where gases are being mixed or whatever. What I do is I take my Dremel on low power and just kind of widen that hole. I usually very, very carefully hold it and kind of do this motion with the drill. And that widens my hole so I could stick the dowel in there. And then the dowel becomes the connector for the straw. Okay, folks, and so my junk wall is pretty much complete. I added a ton of stuff from old sprues. You can see some old sprues in there. I'm convinced that those are electrical conduits. You can't tell me otherwise. I'm convinced that that's what they are. But they're also the ends for like these hydraulic connections. I try to cover up all my straws. When I leave, I don't leave open ends here unless I want fluid dripping or something. I try to seal all those up. And there is that complex network of tubing and piping that I wanted. And basically this stuff is done. This here is comes in sheets. I buy it at Walmart. They're a bunch of sheets, and they're excellent for making like grating, sci-fi grating, floor grating and all that. They use this in stitching. And there is the container, whatever that is. And, you know, that's been reinforced with all of this craft stick. All right. And then there is my apple juice. I cut up one of the plastic apple juice bottles. So drink apple juice, stay healthy, and build terrain. I'm going to be saving the rest of the bottle. And here is that wonderful bottle. Been cutting it up, using up pieces, and I make buildings out of this stuff as well. That'll be another video. Buildings for 15mm or 10mm sci-fi gaming. But this piece is just about complete. I can't really add any more stuff. It's time to add a little bit of spray paint. Okay, and now I added a little bit of gray, a little bit of silver, a touch of silver, and you can see all this crud and everything kind of popping out. So I'm going to do a little bit of weathering, and look at that Citadel paint bottle. It looks just like a container of something, right? And then here is the rear, right? This is going to be one of the sides, and this is double-sided, so obviously I could use it in the middle of the table, or I can switch the sides. If it's on a table edge, then I can just show the other side if I want to, or whatever. This is going to have some magnets here. That's what's going to attach the other walls. And there is the other side. If I could just turn this a little bit without ruining the paint job. And there you go. Love that bottle cap bottom piece, how that came out. There's the open doorway. There are going to be some lights up there, right? Some lights here and there. And there's the other part of the machinery, right? And so again, this is some kind of engine room piece for a starship, or a refinery piece. Now I see some straws that need a little bit of capping here and there, and I'm going to try and give you the best view of this piece. Now I'm not going to show you the other walls because Julie wants me to reserve that for our talk this Sunday. So this Sunday in the Martin and Julie chat, I will show the rest of the walls that I have. We're going to put them together on the table and start to see this sci-fi complex come to life, or whatever this is going to be, a starship, the interior of a starship, whatever. But it is going to be for our sci-fi games. Now, if you like this kind of junk building, subscribe, hit like, let us know, encourage us. I build a lot of stuff, not just this kind of terrain, but also vehicles. I build a lot of vehicles with nothing but junk. So, again, this is the engine room piece, or whatever piece. And I had a lot of fun, a ton of fun building this stuff. So, more updates soon, folks. Thank you very much.